The US federal government wants access to your personal purchase history. They want to know what you bought, where you bought it. They want to know your name, your phone number, your email address, and they even want to know what you did with it in the privacy of your own home because of one of these. And they want to do it without a warrant. Now, this video is not really about the car or truck in your driveway, or in my case, on the ranch. It really is about ownership and about the right to repair the things that you and I buy with our own money. The DOJ is getting around warrants by using the terms of service in the app stores that we use on our phones and our laptops. They think that because you clicked I agree, that you gave up your Fourth Amendment right. Now, they're currently going after Apple, Amazon, Google, and Walmart to turn over hundreds of thousands of users' full purchase records. Then they want to come talk to you and interview you on how you used those products. You'd literally be talking to law enforcement and testifying against yourself, because law enforcement, they don't interview innocent people. Now, this particular case is called United States versus EasyLink. And EasyLink makes the little devices that you connect to cars and trucks to tune them. Now, I promise you, this really isn't just about these small little devices and tuning your cars and trucks. And I have a little personal connection to this because I had the government come after me civilly for something very similar. They wanted access to my customers, and I fought and said no. But I'll tell you more about that after I explain how this affects you. EasyLink makes a device that plugs into the OBD2 port on your vehicle. That port has been standard on every car and truck sold in the United States since 1996. It's the port that your mechanic uses to pull codes. It's the same port that the entire right to repair movement is built upon. EasyLink built a cloud platform around that port. Plug in the EasyLink device, pair that to the EasyLink app, and your tuner, wherever that is, can deliver a new calibration file directly to your vehicle's ECM. No asking permission from the manufacturer who sold you the vehicle and would very much like to keep charging you every time you need to touch it. That's why people bought EasyLink, not as some coordinated act of defiance. It's simply because they own a vehicle and they wanted to control it. Here's what the DOJ told the court about why they need the names and addresses of 100,000 EasyLink customers. They want to interview them as witnesses to understand how they used EasyLink. Now think about that for a second. The government doesn't interview innocent people. When a federal agent shows up at your door asking how you personally used a product that the DOJ thinks violated the law, again, that's not a witness interview. You're a suspect. They already know how people use EasyLink. So the interviews aren't about gathering information. The DOJ sits down across from someone who bought EasyLink, and that person who thinks that they're helping starts explaining exactly what they did with it, without a lawyer in the room. At that point, you're no longer a customer who bought a product. You're a defendant building your own case for the government. They don't need 100,000 interviews to understand the product. The DOJ didn't wake up in 2026 and decide that EasyLink was a problem. This has been going on for 7 years. EasyLink is based in the Cayman Islands. That's a deliberate choice for a company that understood from day one that what they were building was going to attract government overreach. In 2019, before there was any lawsuit, the government went to EasyLink and made a request that had nothing to do with documents or records. They asked for a backdoor into the EasyLink system, a direct line that would let federal agents monitor EasyLink users in real time. Now, EasyLink, they said no. 2 years later, the DOJ sued EasyLink in 2021 for Clean Air Act violations, claiming that EasyLink had been selling defeat devices since 2016. The DOJ sought daily civil fines of up to $48,762 and an injunction to shut EasyLink down entirely. Now, EasyLink fought it. In 2024, a federal district court agreed with EasyLink and dismissed the case, ruling that Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act gave EasyLink immunity. The tune profiles were third-party content delivered through EasyLink's platform, the same legal protection that shields social media platforms from liability for what people post. Case dismissed. Then in August 2025, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals reversed it. The appeals court ruled that EasyLink didn't just host the tunes. EasyLink collaborated with tune developers, provided technical support, and helped ensure the files worked on EasyLink's platform. The court said that that was enough to strip Section 230 immunity, and the case was sent back down. And now, with the lawsuit back in play, the DOJ's next move is to go to Apple, Google, Amazon, Walmart, and more and demand that personal information of every single person who downloaded the EasyLink app. The DOJ tried to get inside EasyLink's first system. EasyLink said no. So the DOJ naturally went around them straight to the app stores and the retailers to get what they wanted anyway. They want access to you. Now the personal side of this government overreach story. The state of California came after me civilly. And what they wanted was my customer list, the names, addresses, and purchase history of every single one of our customers. California's position was that my customers had done something wrong. The state wanted to turn them into targets by getting their information and then going after them individually. I said no. I would rather fight and risk everything that we had built and even possibly go to jail than to help a district attorney with political aspirations turn innocent people into criminals. My attorneys called their attorneys and said something that I think about every time I see a story like this in the headlines. They said, "You don't understand my client. He believes in the rights of his customers more than he believes in his own financial survival. He will spend every last dollar that he has to protect their privacy. And if you do win, there will be nothing left for you to collect." California backed down. They were suddenly very open to a different conversation when they understood we weren't going to roll over. Now, I'm telling you this because the people who bought EasyLink are in the exact same position my customers were in. They just bought a product. They used it the way that they wanted to use it. And now the federal government wants their names and their addresses and is using a terms of service checkbox as a legal justification to get around without a warrant. Most of those 100,000 people have no idea that this is coming. And most of them aren't going to have a legal team ready to defeat them. The DOJ's legal argument in this case needs to be said plainly, because the implications go well beyond EasyLink and well beyond any single product category. The DOJ argued in court filings that EasyLink's customers lost what the DOJ calls cognizable privacy interest in their personal data the moment that they agreed to EasyLink's terms of service. What that means in plain English, you clicking "I agree" on an app store or to download an app is the DOJ's substitute for a warrant. No judge reviewed probable cause against you specifically. The DOJ went to Apple and Google and said, "These people agreed to terms of service." That agreement eliminated their privacy rights. Hand over the data. That's BS. And because the EasyLink subpoena targets Apple and Google, two companies with the resources and the legal teams to actually fight, whatever a court decides here sets the precedent for every App Store data request that comes after it. Now, Apple and Google are challenging the subpoenas. The data has not been handed over yet. I want you to think about the millions of people who use, for instance, geolocation and mapping apps like OnX. If the DOJ's terms of service argument holds in the EasyLink case, the government could use that same legal theory to throw out a net and access the exact GPS whereabouts of millions of people, and without a warrant, without probable cause. Now, I know that you're watching this and you think that there's nothing that you can do, that a lot of this is outside of anything that we can control. But that's not true. We actually can do things together as a community. So we're actually moving away from Discord, and we've started a brand new forum, and it's over at community.loyalmoses.com, and I'll have it up on the screen right here. It's in beta right now, but get over there, join it, and jump into the discussions. We'll organize. We'll do stuff. Thanks. The OBD2 port on your car or truck has been at the center of the right to repair fight for years. The argument has always been straightforward. You own the vehicle, you have the right to access the computer inside it. You choose who works on it and how. That argument up to this point has held. Courts have agreed with it. That port didn't change. The computer you own inside the vehicle you paid for didn't change. The DOJ's theory of who controls what you do with it, that's what's changing. And the terms of service argument, if it holds, is the one that opens the door for every case that comes after EasyLink. Apple and Google are fighting it, thankfully. If they lose, 100,000 people who bought a tool to control how they use their own vehicle is going to find out that the DOJ has their name and home address. Without a warrant, you're just going to get a knock on your door. And this is a friendly reminder. I'm not an attorney, but my advice, don't talk to law enforcement without an attorney present, especially in a case like this. Because remember, law enforcement doesn't interview innocent people, and what you say will absolutely be used against you.